Hello, everybody. Welcome into the TigerWarEagle14 show. This is where we talk sports, any kind of sport we can think of, or any topic we can talk about. It'll be right here on the TigerWarEagle14 show and on the channel. And I'm joined by my co-host at this time. We're thinking of a name other than TigerWarEagle14 show. Something to talk about college football mainly, but also some other sports. His name is Squidtard. Squidtard, how are you?
Oi everyone, what's up, Tiger Eagle? Glad to be on here with you, buddy. How are we doing tonight?
Man, I'm doing good, and I want to apologize. Normally, 2 weeks ago, I said that we were going to be on next week, or this past week, but I've been so busy with everything else going on in my personal life, and of course, doing business. But we're back. We'll go over the stuff we were supposed to have last week, and we'll begin right now with what happened last week or the week prior. Auburn with valiant effort, and I mean a valiant effort. They put up a valiant effort against Penn State, but fall short to the Nittany Lions in Happy Valley. I was watching the game, and look, some of my friends that go to the Auburn tailgates, they were at the game, man, and they said that it was pretty cool seeing white, just nothing but white all over the stadium. But one of my friends, who's actually one of the assistant coaches on the sideline, I won't state his name, but he told me that it was all hype. It was just it's not as loud as Auburn on a Saturday night. But we'll find out next year when the Nittany Lions come to Penn State. But to recap, here's the thing. And I have so many problems with our offensive coordinator at this point, and we'll get to more of that later on. But man, it's fourth and goal. You have Tank Bigsby and Jarquez Hunter, who's been just picking apart that Penn State defense all night, pretty much. And then you throw the ball on fourth and goal from the 2. It goes right over the receiver's head. I mean, yeah, you can blame Bo Nix for the pass, but my thing is, why not run the ball? That's just me. But Swidhard, what are your thoughts on the Auburn Penn State game from the other day?
Well, it was about what I expected it to be. The game of the week, no doubt, a showdown between two top 25 teams and a matchup that I think was important for both teams. And Auburn, they fought. Honestly, I didn't know who was going to win, but I knew that I knew it was a hard fought game. But yeah, it sucks for Auburn that they came so close to winning that game, and then just one single mistake was all it took for things to just completely go south. And I think both teams had several mistakes in that game, but I guess the one that just to come on top was Penn State, and they remain in the top 5 in college football right now.
I mean, yeah, that's true. And if I had to see Auburn go on the road to lose to a top 10 Big Ten team on the road, especially in an environment like that, I mean, I'll take that any day. I mean, Penn State is legit this year. They're no joke. We kept saying, I don't know if they'll make the playoffs a couple years ago. Right now, they are no huge joke. They are actually legit, and I do think they'll have a shot at the playoffs. They just can't lose to Ohio State or Michigan down the road. We'll see how they do later on throughout the season. But also, like you said, there were mistakes made. You go back, in the start of the second half, had number 5, I forgot his name, but had number 5 not dropped the football, and we could have at least either punted or maybe go down the field and scored. It could have been at least 21-20 Penn State. Auburn would drive down the field on their final drive. Like when it was 28-20, Auburn was driving down the field. They had a chance to win. But had that fumble not happened at the start of the second half, it could have. I called it. It was going to be a field goal situation, but that fumble pretty much cost my prediction. Let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. Of course, this past week Auburn played Georgia State, and buddy, you talk about poor playing by Bo Nix, and I mean I backed him up for the past several years myself, to be honest. But at this point, what do you got to lose? If you're Mike Bobo or if you're Brian Harsin, let's say this. Do you pull the trigger on TJ Finley or do you stick with Bo Nix?
Well, after looking at what I saw yesterday, it was clear to see that, Bo Nix he just did not have it together. He has not had it together for pretty much the entire season. So seeing TJ Finley go in there and win Auburn that game, Auburn probably would have lost to Georgia State had not TJ Finley got in and stepped up for that team. And so I think going forward, just based on that game alone, it's hard to tell. But I think from this point, I think Finley would be the safe. It's a hard choice to make. You never know if it was just a one time thing with TJ Finley, or if really he is the real deal. It's not hard. I mean, it's hard to tell, but I think I would have gone with TJ Finley for this week, but that's just my thoughts. I think they could stick with Bo Nix and maybe create some results, maybe get Bo Nix to fix up a lot of the issues he's been having all season long. Other than that, though, I think something needs to happen with this Auburn offense because it just does not look good at all.
I mean, I could blame the quarterback situation, but here's my thing. Offensive line, and I called it before the Penn State game that I'm worried about the offensive line, and it goes to show you, it don't matter who you start at quarterback. Tom Brady, Bo Nix, TJ Finley, heck, you even start Aaron Rodgers, you're not going to have a good – they're not going to do good if you don't have an offensive line. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's just me, but of course, TJ Finley going back home to LSU this weekend. It would be pretty neat if he started, but my thing is they might just go with that old 2 QB situation that we did a couple years ago, and it didn't work out. But that was under Gus Malzahn. Who knows? It might work under Brian Harsin. You never know. And of course, Auburn goes into Baton Rouge with a 20-plus game losing streak on the road to LSU. And hold on to that thought. Because right now in Atlanta, Georgia, the Atlanta Braves just won their 4th consecutive National League East championship. So if you're a Braves fan out there, put a comment down there and just give me your Go Braves deal. But yeah, the Braves won the NL East for the 4th year in a row. But back to what I was talking about. But yeah, TJ Finley, I do feel like he could be pretty good. Of course, he didn't start last year, and LSU's dominating loss. Well, I wouldn't say they were dominated by Auburn last year, but of course it was an Auburn. But who knows? Saturday night in Death Valley. Like I said, thank you, Southern Country 1993. Kobe Hudson, by the way, that's who I was talking about earlier. But 20-plus years of not winning at Baton Rouge, I just feel like it's some sort of curse going on down there. Because at one point a couple years ago, we were up 20-plus at halftime. And then Gus Malzahn fashion, we blow it in the final few minutes of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be honest, I think this will be the year Auburn does the impossible and wins in Baton Rouge. Because here's the thing, if you have Troy winning down there before Auburn does in the 21st century, you got issues. But I do think this is the year that Auburn finally breaks the curse and they go down to Baton Rouge and beat the Tigers of LSU. But, I mean, who knows? LSU normally at nighttime they're pretty good, but I wonder what kind of LSU we're going to see. Are we going to see the LSU that did really good in the first half, or are we going to see an LSU that struggled against UCLA in week 1? But we'll find out this Saturday night, 8 o'clock Central Time kickoff. Late game. I mean, I think it's 8 Central, but my goodness. I mean, it's way too late for me to watch a football game, to be honest. Penn State's one thing, but you got LSU at night that late. There's going to be a bunch of drunk Cajuns down there in Tiger Stadium. So, speaking of LSU, they hold on to beat Mississippi State 28-25 and start Vegas. I'll be honest. I'm starting to think about this hire for Mississippi State 10 years too late, in my opinion. Because had Mike Leach – think about this, Coulthard. Had Mike Leach come to the SEC, to any school back in, the mid-2000s, at least Mississippi State, we could be seeing a different landscape. Mississippi State could be the dynasty everyone keeps talking about instead of Alabama. What do you think?
It's hard to tell. I mean, Mike Leach has got a thing going on, I think, at Mississippi State. But even while he was at Washington State, which is a Pac-12, that's a Pac-12 school with Pac-12 talent going up against other Pac-12 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. If he can't start something there and get Washington State to consecutive 9, 10, even a couple of championships every so often, if he can't do that, then I don't think the possibility of a dynasty even in the SEC is possible for me. Even if you if you recruit the best, then maybe, but I just do not think Mike Leach has the coaching ability to have a national dynasty team, but that doesn't matter anyway because it's not like that was ever going to happen.
Yeah, but yeah, I do like Mike Leach. I mean, they even they have fun with what he does. Like on like press conferences, he says some crazy things, but man, I think he's a good man. But at this point right now, you gotta wonder as a Mississippi State fan, was the hire even worth it? Because you had Dan Mullen. I mean, of course, he left for Florida, but you could have gone somebody after somebody else different, like maybe Steve Sarkisian, maybe even Clay Helton. I mean, Clay Helton's an Auburn guy. He was a pretty good head coach. But to be honest, in my opinion, why would USC fire Clay Helton? He got him to the Rose Bowl. He got him so close to the playoffs at one point. I think it was a mistake that USC made. That's my opinion. But anyway, let's move on to our next topic of Tony Franklin. If anybody doesn't remember this cat, please don't remember this guy, because this dude just tried his best to embarrass Auburn by putting out this statement. Of course, this past week, Brian Harsin fires a wide receiver coach, Cornelius Williams. And to be honest, I mean, this is my opinion of it. I think it's an okay firing. I mean, yes, the quarterback situation is going on, but even if Bo Nix is throwing the pass as perfect as he can, the receivers cannot catch the ball. Heck, they can't even catch COVID, pretty much. Just making a little COVID joke right there. But this was his quote. Tony Franklin, you hired a weak man with no backbone who's going to get run over by all these boosters. It's already happened. The wheels were set in motion on all this stuff. Okay. So let me ask you this, Mr. Tony Franklin. Let's see. His career from 1997 to 1998, he was a running back coach at Kentucky. Offensive coordinator, wide receivers coach from 99 to 2000. What did Kentucky do those years? I don't think they did nothing. Offensive coordinator, quarterback coach at Troy. I don't think they did much either. And, of course, 2008, he was an offensive coordinator, quarterback coach at Auburn. We didn't do jack squat with this guy. Hey, you want to talk about being big? I am talking. He is talking. Anyway, sorry, it's one of my people in the house. Anyway, you basically at one point while you're at Auburn, the guy only gets 3 points in Auburn's win over Mississippi State. You want to talk about embarrassment? I think, in my opinion, Tony Franklin's the biggest embarrassment in Auburn history. You can say Gus Malzahn. I'm Tony Franklin. So, what are your thoughts on what Tony Franklin said about Auburn this past week?
Well, if you're gonna trash talk, you better have the backbone to be able to back that up, because that's a bad look for him if he's talking trash and then it's going out there and just doing horrible himself. So, yeah, not good. Not good for anybody there. Not a good look for Auburn. Not a good look for him. Not a good look for anybody. In all honesty, maybe a good look for Mississippi State, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, what has the guy done in his career? What has he done? In my opinion, absolutely nothing. I don't think he's even coached a bowl game in his career. But
to be honest, I think this will answer everything about that. I didn't know who the guy. I didn't even know his name until today, so that should tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, that's pretty much a good statement right there. Now, not only Auburn struggled against Georgia State, but Clemson has fallen off the deep ends.
Clemson's they are just awful right now.
I can't remember the last time Clemson was even outside the top 20, or at least the top 10.
Well, get ready because they're about to be outside of just the rankings in general.
Yeah, the pizza party at Clemson has officially been canceled, unless some crazy crap goes on like what happened in 2007. They lose to NC State on the road in Raleigh. And right now they're ranked in 25th, the last spot in the top 25. They're basically right behind Auburn at this point. Just a crazy weekend this past week. Also, Georgia has a historic first quarter against Vanderbilt. 35 points. 35 points in the first quarter against Vanderbilt.
Dude, and nothing historic about beating Vanderbilt.
No, if you're Auburn playing Vanderbilt, you might as well just say, Vanderbilt.
I'll say this about Georgia. I think, to me, Georgia is definitely one of the best teams right now overall. But and this isn't. I'm not knocking Georgia by any means here. They've played. I mean, they've played phenomenal against the opponents that they've played against. The problem with that is, and I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. I guarantee it. I haven't seen them play like a real squad. I here's the thing. Okay, looking at who they played Vanderbilt. Come on, I can name like 5 FCS teams that are better than Vanderbilt right now. UAB is not a necessarily awful group of 5 team, but they're not the best. And this is definitely, and about the Clemson win, beating Clemson is not what it would have been 2 years ago. Had Georgia beaten Clemson 2 years ago, I probably would have told everybody, yep, Georgia's the real deal. But Clemson this season, and this is something else I'll talk about, they're not a good team. They're not. They're not a top 25 team this season. They have no offense at all. I mean, half the ACC teams right now literally have a better offense. No, I can probably say this, that basically every single team in the ACC minus maybe Duke or Syracuse has a better offense right now than Clemson. DJ Uiagalelei is not who I thought he was going to be this season. He's just not good. He's playing terrible. And the Clemson offensive line is not holding up well. The receivers are playing bad. Nobody can play good on Clemson's offense right now. The defense had to bail them out of nearly losing to Georgia Tech. And then they lose to NC State. And that's the first time NC State's beat a ranked opponent since 2011. It's not a good look for Clemson. And it's going to look even worse. And I'm telling you right now, this is probably going to happen. Boston College, which I think right now is the best team in the ACC, is getting ready to absolutely embarrass Clemson on national television. I'm telling you right now, Boston College is going to massacre Clemson in that game. It's a good look.
Yeah, I honestly if Boston College actually does go to Clemson and beat them in Death Valley, because well, then again, you got to think about this. I can't even remember the last time Clemson lost at home. I believe it was 2016 against Pittsburgh, and what everyone thought would be the end of Clemson's season. But I think I'm correct. I think that was the last time Clemson lost at home. So if they lose at home to Boston College, that'll be the first time that they lost at home for the first time in a long while. So I honestly could be expecting Boston College to go up there, or to go down there rather, and beat them. Speaking of Boston College, they actually hosted Missouri last week in a rare SEC trip to the north, like Auburn did a couple weeks ago, but except this was in Boston, and the Eagles pull off the shocker. I probably wouldn't call it a shocker, because let's be honest, Missouri, I still don't understand why they're even in the SEC. But then again, I mean, they do have a pretty stellar basketball program, to say the least. But yeah, just one of those rare SEC losses on the road to a team in the ACC, especially on the road at their place. I mean, I do think Boston College will be pretty good this year, but you never know what they'll do this year. It's probably one of those weird years where one of those small teams do good.
Yeah, well, Boston College this season has not looked bad at all. Sitting at 4-0 right now, undefeated, just got a big win against an SEC school. I mean, Boston College is heading in the right direction, and just, I mean, they're having a really, really good season right now, and all the momentum is heading in their direction when they go on the road to play Clemson. I think they get the job done. In all honesty, I don't think Clemson gets I don't think they get blown out in this game by any means, but I do think Boston College gets the win. Just Clemson right now, their offense is so bad, their defense is not going to be able to bail them out forever. Without an offense, that defense will eventually get tired, and even if Boston College is down, they'll take the lead eventually, and they'll pull away in the fourth quarter. That's why I think that game is going to go.
Yeah, speaking of Boston College opponent, I think they're playing Notre Dame this year. Last week, Notre Dame had probably the biggest game of the year so far, other than Florida State. Well, let's be honest, I don't think we'll consider that the biggest game of the year anymore because of the way Florida State's playing. But is Notre Dame not as bad as they look right now? Because they did pretty good against Wisconsin. I mean, it was close for a while, but then in the fourth quarter, the Fighting Irish just pulled away from the Badgers at Soldier Field in Chicago. But
Yeah,
what are your thoughts on Notre Dame thus far?
that did actually shock me. First thing I'll say is Boston College doesn't actually play Notre Dame this season,
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't know who dodged a bullet on that one. I think that would be a really good game. But Notre Dame this season, there's kind of a common trend that I have with Notre Dame, and I see it all the time, is that Notre Dame just absolutely struggles against opponents. They just can't do anything against a lot of the opponents that they play, and they just go outright and get embarrassed. But today against Wisconsin, we don't know anything about Wisconsin. We'll know a lot more about their identity when they play a undefeated ranked in the top 15 Michigan team. And let me tell you, Wisconsin being 1-2 and Michigan being 4-0 and ranked in the top 15, Wisconsin is still favored by 2 points at home, which I think is
What?
actually pretty interesting. Yeah. Well, it's because it's almost like Michigan going on the road against Wisconsin. That's like their kryptonite. They haven't been able to beat Wisconsin in their home stadium. And I think, 20 years. 20 years ago was the last time Michigan beat Wisconsin on the road. And do you think I really do think that they could get it done here? We'll have to see about that. But as for Notre Dame, they've got such a big game here against Cincinnati. It's a top 10 matchup here. Cincinnati and Notre Dame going at it. Cincinnati favored by 1.5. I think that is where we will figure out whether or not Notre Dame, I think, could be the real deal. Cincinnati, this Cincinnati team, and all you looking at what they've done this season, they are definitely no pushover. So we'll have to see what happens with those two
Yeah,
teams.
I forgot Cincinnati was playing Notre Dame this weekend. But if I had to choose who would win that game, I'm honestly thinking about it. I'm actually thinking about picking Cincinnati to beat Notre Dame because let's be honest, they are on a roll this year. Cincinnati is so far, but they head into Notre Dame Stadium for I believe would be the first time. Oh, by the way, this is Brian Kelly's first game against his former team that he coached years ago, and now he's got more wins than Newt Rockne ever in Notre Dame history. So, by the way, congratulations to Brian Kelly on that. It's a big accomplishment. Spent most of his time at Notre Dame, which is rare for any coach to do. So, congratulations, especially during today. But congratulations. We were talking about UAB earlier. You were talking about them, but let's talk about their new digs they got coming up. This is the brand new Protective Stadium, which is located near the BJCC complex, which means Birmingham Jefferson Civic Center, which is close to the Legacy Arena, which is home to high school basketball championships every year. But this stadium this year will be the host of the UAB Blazers' inaugural season there. It will also be the home of this year's Alabama High School Athletic Association Super 7, which means Class 1A through 7A are having their respective championship games there. But how cool is that stadium? I'll say this first. That's a long time coming for UAB to have this stadium and have a new stadium in their history.
They needed it, yeah. Something that I think is interesting, and I hate to kind of knock off the direction of this show, but I just got this notification about what was going on. It's UConn versus Vanderbilt, two perennial world beaters, right?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I looked at the ticket prices for their game, and this is a ticket from the 50. It's a view from the 50-yard line on one of the sides, and that's usually one of the most pristine tickets that you can get. You want to take a guess how much that costs? That ticket costs
$1.
You're right on the money. $1.
Wait, why is it really?
Yeah, it is. It's $1.
I'm on the little Unvivid seats, dude. There can't be no way. I'm looking right here on my phone.
Oh, it's true.
I'm sorry. We'll get back to UAB in just a second. Hold on, Blazer fans that might be watching. I want to see this. Oh man, it can't be that bad. I was just guessing. There's no way.
It is. It is. Yeah.
Oh no, dude! Right here it says $2.
Yeah, there's a price at the 50-yard line that says $1.
Oh my god, man! Oh man. Okay. That right there, man. At this point, you need to just get rid of Vanderbilt. I mean, I don't care if it's for their academics. I don't care if it's the reason why they're in the SEC. They gotta go. We don't care about academics in the SEC. We care about football. I mean, yes, they're good at baseball too, but I'm sorry, y'all got to go. I mean, but what was that Vanderbilt fan's name that used to be on your show all the time? I forgot his name.
My good old buddy Jared Rifkin. Shout out to you,
Oh
Jared.
my goodness, man. Jared Rifkin.
Hey, he was you know what his prediction was for this season? Like, you know what he had Vanderbilt going? 7-5.
Jesus, man, Jesus. You ain't gonna be close to that. I honestly expect that game to be low scoring, just no offense, period. But yeah, just unbelievable. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. UAB opening their brand new stadium this weekend against Liberty. Pretty huge game for UAB. I mean, think about this, Squidtard. It's been a long time coming for UAB. They had their think about this 7 years ago. A lot of people didn't know this, but that will be their last year before they took a 2-year hiatus. And then they come back and they win 2 out of 3 Conference USA titles, and they get a brand new stadium. But how do you feel about UAB getting a brand new stadium?
Well, I'm proud of them. You know, coming out of the hole that they were in, I'm glad UAB has managed to climb out of it, and now they're back into it. I think they're on their way to becoming one of those 10-win, 9-win group of 5 teams every year, and that's a good thing to see from a group of 5 squad. You gotta love to see it.
Oh yeah. Do you see them perhaps getting invited by the American Athletic Conference? Once UCF
very well could. Yeah. If UCF ends up leaving somewhere to go to maybe the Big 12 or maybe
it's official. They're going.
Well, there you go then. Yeah, that's right. I forgot that was official. In that case, then yeah, I definitely could see UAB getting picked up by the AAC.
Because you think about this, UAB is one of those schools. In the American Athletic Conference, it has those schools like Temple and Philadelphia. Rice is located. No, not Rice, but Houston right now. I mean, obviously located in Houston. SMU located in Fort Worth, Dallas. I mean, I can see UAB or Birmingham getting that American Athletic Conference hype. So that'll be pretty cool for UAB to jump ship from the Conference USA and get more TV exposure for the American Athletic Conference. But we hope for the best for UAB in the future, and we wish them luck this Saturday night against the Liberty Flames. It'll be on CBS Sports Network. But let's go ahead and talk about Alabama. The Crimson Tide, of course, will have their SEC home opener this Saturday afternoon against Ole Miss at 2:30 p.m. on CBS. Ole Miss rolling in here at 3-0. 3-0 to start the season for the Rebels, so not a bad start for Lane Kiffin, but do you see the impossible happening? Do you see the Rebels going to Tuscaloosa and beating the Crimson Tide?
Well, here's what I'll say. Watching Florida and Alabama play proved to me one thing, that the Crimson Tide are very far from unbeatable. I thought that, after Miami, I thought that there was no possibility that Alabama would really struggle with the team up until they played somebody in the Big Ten, or not the SEC championship. I don't know why I thought Big Ten there, but it will. Here's the thing here. This is one of the biggest chances Ole Miss has got to prove themselves. To me, Ole Miss to Alabama is Arkansas to Georgia. Both of those games are going to be huge matchups. Of course, Ole Miss is not ranked in the top 10, but Arkansas is. Both of these matchups are going to be absolutely huge. Do I see Ole Miss going on the road to Bama and toppling the Giant? Yeah, you might be surprised about this, but I actually see it happening. I predicted Alabama to win this game in a very close matchup, but seeing where things are going for both teams, I'm going with Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss beats Alabama, goes on the road, and gets the job done.
Keep in mind, if Lane Kiffin could pull off the impossible, it would be the first time that a former Saban assistant has ever beaten the mentor. I mean, but here's the deal. I would definitely pick Ole Miss if the game was being played in Oxford, Mississippi. But since the game is being played in Tuscaloosa, I have to choose Alabama. You just can't go into Bryant then and expect to win. I mean, yeah, Ole Miss did it a couple years ago, but let's be honest, Alabama was just all over the place on defense that year, but somehow wound up winning the national championship. But let's go ahead and go over another topic right quick I missed. Going back to the Auburn-Penn State game, the targeting rule. Should it be tweaked or should it be banished? Because in my opinion, if you're not going to know what targeting is and what targeting isn't, you might as well just get rid of the rule or at least change it up to where at least if it's a bad call, then a player could at least be banned for at least one quarter. And then if it's in the fourth quarter, then if he gets targeted, he'll just be ejected for the rest of the game, not suspended for the first half of the next game. That's just my opinion. But do you think they should look at the targeting rule and see if the guy leaves with his shoulder, then it shouldn't be targeting, period. But do you think they should tweak the targeting rule?
Well, deleting the targeting rule to me is that's a very bold decision to make. I don't see that happening. Targeting is kind of a rule that needs to be around in case you got a player that's just basically headhunting, got to protect players from concussions and things like that, CTE, you know how it is. But I don't think targeting the rule, I don't think it needs to go away by any means. But what I do think should happen is I think they should look more into the targeting rule and why it would be targeting. What targeting is that here's what most people need to know is that targeting is when a player not purposely, I guess I could say, but it looks purposely, takes his head and rams it into a head of another player. That's what targeting is.
But hold on. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop here there, real quick. I'll let you continue talking here in just a second. I want to say this too. At least change the rule to where, I'm trying to think. What was I fixing to say? Dang, I just lost my train of thought. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'll let you talk in here in just a second, or continue. But I think what they need to look at it, it's okay, they need to look at it as okay, did he do it on purpose or did he not do it kind of like basketball, NBA or college basketball? Did the guy slap the dude on purpose or was it accidental? At least if it's if it's a flagrant one targeting call, then at least set him out for one play, maybe 5 plays. If it's definitely targeting he did on purpose, oh yeah, that's a flagrant 2. He's gone. That's how I think it should be done. Give him a warning or whatever. But that's just me. But you can go ahead and continue. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I just wanted to throw that out there too.
The problem is with that is you never know what a player's true intentions are. Of course, no, literally, I don't think there's any player that's attempting or trying to bump into a player head to head. I don't think there's any player in the world that's going to try something like that. The problem with that is, the refs don't look at what a player's true intentions are. What they see is, did it look like head-to-head contact? And if it looked like it was head-to-head contact, whoever's responsible is out. Mainly someone on the defense. So I don't think the targeting rule needs to go. I think it would be dumb because, it's a key part to college football is to prevent things like that from happening.
Oh yeah.
But also, I think the rule needs to be adjusted. Is basically what I'm saying. I think, I just think it needs to be adjusted a little bit. But other than that, I think targeting is targeting. There really is nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I understand it's to keep the players safe and everything, and I respect that. But if you had to change the rule up, at least do what I just said earlier. If it's not intentional, if the guy barely missed him with the helmet, then at least barely missed him with the shoulder, or whatever, at least make it a flagrant 1. Kind of like in college, like I said, in college basketball, NBA, if the guy slapped the dude on an accident, call it a flagrant 1. If he did it on purpose, oh yeah, go. I mean that's what I would do. I mean, the first targeting call be a warning, and then if he does it again, bye Jack, you're gone. But that's just me. I wouldn't say get rid of it, honestly. I'll just say just make it to where it's like for the guy to understand. Okay, you can't do that again. But let's move on right quick. Let's go on to the Oklahoma Sooners, man. I'll tell you what. Honestly, they should have at least 2 losses right now, maybe 3, because you struggle with Tulane in week 1, you struggle with Nebraska week 3, and then you struggle with West Virginia of all teams in your home stadium. They should be at least 1-3 right now. Oklahoma at this point. What do you see them doing? Oh, by the way, Spencer Rattler gets benched after everyone's been chanting to bench him. They bring in somebody, I can't remember the name of the guy, but they bring in somebody else, and Oklahoma goes on to win on the game-winning field goal. But man, what do you think of Oklahoma doing this year after 3 out of 4 games that they've struggled?
Well, I'll say this for sure, and this is it's kind of funny considering how many people complained about how the SEC is not the best conference, which in reality it still is. It's always been the best conference, and right now the only teams that look really really good are from the SEC, minus a couple of outliers, that being Iowa, Oregon, and then some of the undefeated teams. But I mean, looking at Oklahoma in particular, they are not kind of like Ohio State. They just don't have it. They don't have anything going on right now. They haven't proved to me in any way, shape, or form that they are worthy of even being a top 5 team. They aren't. Then maybe not even a top 10. They're struggling against opponents that they should be beating by 80, minus Coastal Carolina. But after seeing them struggle to a Nebraska squad that couldn't beat Illinois, I can't figure out what the deal with Oklahoma is. They've got the talent to really go out and do something. I think they've got it. I just don't know what's going on. They aren't executing good enough. They aren't doing what they need to be doing to win or to dominate in these key games. And I think that's going to come back to bite them eventually if they don't get it together sooner or later.
Yeah, but
Uh-oh. Somebody hit the wrong button. That's not good. Can't be hitting the wrong button, and yeah, StreamYard will do that to you. You try and hit one button and it just removes you out of there. It's it does that to you sometimes. It really does. I trying to advance the conversation here. Yeah, Oklahoma is just not what they're supposed to be. Welcome back.
Hey, I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm telling you. The network here is awful. I'm sorry about that, man.
You're good.
But anyway, but I'm sorry. Go ahead. What you were saying. Who do you see Texas or who do you see Oklahoma perhaps losing to? Because
originally,
I do see them losing to Texas.
Originally, yeah, it was Texas, but after seeing Texas, what they look like right now, I can't really say that for sure. Texas looks probably way worse than what I thought they were going to be. After watching them get dominated by Arkansas, no disrespect to Arkansas, I think Arkansas to me right now, after beating Texas A&M and winning a couple of key games, Arkansas is definitely no pushover by any means. But after watching Texas these last few games, they don't have an offense that's worthy of really much. Their defense can't really compete with anybody. Just Texas is not what I thought they were going to be this season. So I don't know who's going to get the loss on Oklahoma or to give Oklahoma their loss. I don't think it's Texas. I don't think it's Iowa State either.
Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have technical difficulties. I'm trying to pull this image right here on our final topic. We'll go off there, but yeah, I do see. I he said someone else. I didn't hear what he said. But I just think Texas would have to be the ones to beat Oklahoma. Again, I'm trying to get football back up in here. 1 second.
I don't know what's going on with your mic, but it sounds like you're
talking
underwater. Oh, there you are. I'm here.
I'm sorry, I can't hear. I think I lost your mic for a minute. I pressed mute and unmute, but anyway, trying to. Sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying my best to get Squid's Heart back on here.
I'm here. I mean, I can hear myself back on the playback of the video, so I'm definitely here.
If I can get him on. Hey, you there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm here.
Hold on, if you can hear me, back out and then come back into the studio if you can. Or hold on, let me try this. Hey, you there?
Hello?
Okay, yeah, back out and then come back in if you can. There you go. Yeah, he'll rejoin here in just a second, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. I've had technical difficulties with this computer the past couple months, and hey, you there?
Sounds like you need to get a new PC.
Thing's still glitching.
Uh-oh. That's no good. Welcome to YouTube shows, everyone, where your computers crash at the worst possible time.
Hey, you there? Hold on. We'll have to, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have to restart the stream, but I'm not going to start all the way over. We're just going to continue on in another stream. We'll be right back. We'll take a quick break.